The IRS has given guidance on stimulus checks. I have all the details and what you need to know right here in the video, so let's get right into it. All right, now just a couple days ago, I was out with a separate video talking about how the IRS came out with an announcement and said, if you're located within one of the 21 states that sent out stimulus checks last year, hold up on filing your federal tax return. They also indicated that they'd be out within the following days with further guidance on what to do and if those payments would be taxable. Well, guess what? We now have that guidance out of the IRS, and that's what I want to discuss for you here in this video, so let's get right into it. However, really fast before we do, thank you so much for joining me. If you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, please make sure to subscribe by hitting the button right down below the video, as it is my dedication, my commitment, and my promise to each and every one of you right here in the community to continuously be here right by your side every single day, doing all the necessary research and watching all this new information hitting the wire, breaking it all down into these short videos so you can stay updated with what's actually going on right now during this very confusing, this very busy, and this very uncertain time as things are changing very rapidly. I truly want to keep you updated and point out anything out there right now you can possibly grab and or take advantage of, as well as all of these updates that are going to impact you, your money, your benefits, your lifestyle, and of course, your bank account. So again, thanks so much for joining me. I'm here for you, and it is my dedication to advocate on your behalf every single day. So again, please subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, and let's get into it and talk about the IRS and the guidance they recently came out with as far as what we're supposed to do with the money we received from stimulus checks. All right, so here's what it comes down to. This is all in reference to last year. Now remember this much. Obviously, right now we are in 2023. Basically, anything that we're talking about on a tax perspective is coming into the 2022 tax year, okay? So that is what this is coming down to. The guidance out of the IRS is for those individuals that received stimulus checks from your state last year in 2022, okay? That is what this is in reference to. It is not right now this year in 2023 stimulus checks, but it is those stimulus checks that were distributed on the state level last year in 2022, because remember, there were no stimulus checks last year on the federal level from the federal government last year. In 2021, yes, there were, but not last year, not 2022. It was only on the state level. Well, according to the reports here, 21 states sent out stimulus checks on the state level to millions upon millions upon millions of people last year, okay? So that is what this guidance is for. So anyway, let me get into it and talk about what the IRS said, which, by the way, this is not tax advice. This is not accounting advice. I am not your CPA. I am not your accountant. I cannot give you advice because everybody's situation is very, very different, but I can give you the information here based on what the IRS said about this and the further guidance on your stimulus checks. Here's essentially what they said. If your state distributed a stimulus check last year and it was classified as either general welfare or a disaster relief payment, they will not challenge the taxability of these payments. In other words, they're not going to require you to file them or to report them on your federal tax return. But again, what I would highly recommend doing is do some research on your specific state and if they're going to be choosing your state as one of the small handful that may be subject to federal income tax, okay? Here's what I can say though. In general, the IRS basically said, if you received a stimulus check, if it's a general welfare payment, or if it is a disaster relief payment, which basically all of them were, just saying, okay? They're not going to be taxable on the federal level, okay? They also indicated as well, if you're somebody that already filed your federal tax return, no amendment needed, no amendment necessary. So basically what it comes down to, the IRS is not all that concerned about these payments going out. But don't get me wrong, I'm not telling you what you should or should not be doing, okay? I'm simply telling you, the IRS, basically gave this guidance. It was a little bit vague. I'm going to be honest with you right now. The announcement and the guidance coming out of the IRS was kind of vague because they didn't give us specific details as far as, well, wait, what about the states that maybe we're not classified as general welfare payments or a disaster relief payment? Then what, right? There's only maybe a couple states that'd be falling into that category. So basically, what it comes down to is, in general, most of the payments are not going to be taxable on the federal level because they're basically saying you won't need to claim it on your federal tax return. So again, this is the guidance out of the IRS on this. But what I would do in your specific situation, if this is your case, if you're in one of the states that received a stimulus check last year in 2022, you might want to do some extra looking on this, a little bit more digging on this. If you have an accountant, obviously, I would talk to that person about it. If you have a CPA, obviously, talk to that person about it. If you file your own tax returns, then obviously, you may want to do some digging on this and look into it a little bit further. But the software that you may be using may already have this programmed into it as well, okay? Or they may be coming up with a small update. But either way, this is what I want to bring to your attention, because at the end of the day, you got to make sure that all this stuff is accurate. It's very, very important to make sure that all this stuff is accurate, especially all this information, because it will be furnished to the IRS as well. So they will have all this information. And it's very important to make sure that this is accurate, okay? So this is the guidance out of the IRS. Now, I want to make this very clear as well. A couple days ago, when I made that video talking about, hey, the IRS just said this, pay attention here. We've got some further guidance coming in a few days. Well, when I made that video, I saw some comments down below saying, we're not getting another stimulus check. This has nothing to do with a new stimulus check being distributed. This is nothing about that, okay? That's not what I'm saying here, okay? I'm talking about stimulus checks that already went out last year in 2022. That's what I'm talking about, and that's exactly the guidance that the IRS is giving here in this report as well, okay? It's not in reference to a new stimulus check. It's not in reference to another stimulus check this year. It's not about that at all. It is talking about state stimulus checks that have already been distributed last year in 2022 and whether they are taxable on the federal level. That is what this guidance is all about, okay? So I want to make that very clear. And again, just wanted to point that out because I saw those comments, a few of them on that video from the other day, and I actually reached out to the people that I saw it and I said, please go back and watch the video again because I said nothing about a new stimulus check coming in that video. I was making it very clear this was the guidance out of the IRS and what you're supposed to do with that payment. So, long story short, the IRS is basically saying they're not going to challenge the taxability. In other words, that's basically just a really smart way of saying they're not going to be taxable on the federal level, is basically what they're saying, okay? But this is not tax advice. This is not accounting advice. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm simply telling you the guidance out of the IRS. But I would highly recommend if you're in this situation, as in you got a check and you're filing a federal tax return, you may want to just go on the internet really quickly, type in your state, type in state stimulus check, and type in IRS guidance, something along those lines, and then just make sure for sure that your state is not one of them that may have some federal tax liabilities on that check. But for the most part, that's really not really going to be happening. So just want to point that out. This is the guidance out of the IRS. I hope this one helps you out. As I said the other day in that video, as I said, as soon as I get this guidance from the IRS, of course, I'll be right back here for you, breaking it all down right away in a video and let you know what's going on here. Hopefully you got that check last year, but again, there was 21 states that sent them out, and we all know that within the parameters of all these different states, of course, they all had their own little rules and stipulations and all kinds of different criteria to see if you are eligible or if you were ineligible. So hopefully you got a check last year, and hopefully you're not going to have any tax liability on it, but it doesn't really sound like that's going to be the case for very many people at all. Maybe in some instances, but for the most part, it sounds like it's not even going to be the case for, virtually anybody. Anyway, hope this one helps you out a little bit further. And again, I'll continue watching everything. It's a busy time right now. There's a lot of stuff going on literally every single day. Things are happening. And again, I'm here for you, breaking it all down, finding you the information, advocating on your behalf, as well as bringing you the updates as they are hitting the wire. So enjoy your day. Please subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Share the video with your friends, family, social media, and go back and check out any of the other thousands of videos here on the channel. Until next time, enjoy and catch you again later in the next